Hello and welcome to Tim Conley Drums. Today I wanted to talk about drum clinics. Specifically, drum clinics I've attended, drum clinics that I put on, and I've got a couple of funny stories related to those drum clinics. Now, for those of you that don't know what a drum clinic is, it's different than a master class. I'll explain what a drum master class is first. A master class is an educational environment. You're usually interactive with whoever is holding the master class. You're usually at a pad or a drum kit or an electronic drum kit, and you actually play and you learn from the instructor. So basically it's a drum lesson, but it's a group drum lesson. There could be anywhere between 10 to 50 drummers in the group. It all depends on the group and how many people are there and where it's being held, etc., etc. I've been to hundreds of master classes. I've also been to close to 1,000 drum clinics. And I know that sounds like an insane number, but I started going to drum clinics before drum clinics were even a thing. Like they were just sort of starting in its infancy, and I started going to drum clinics when I was about 15 in 1980. And I've been to so many, I've seen everybody. Anyways, let me explain what a drum clinic is. So a drum clinic, while it is an educational environment, you're not interacting with the drummer that's holding the clinic, except in a put your hand up, asking a question kind of way. There's no pad, there's no drum kit of any kind. You sit and you watch this person and they perform. Usually they perform with a backing track of some kind, even though I've been to lots of clinics where there were no backing tracks, it was just pure drumming. But oftentimes they'll perform, if it's a famous drummer with a band, they'll perform songs from their band, but it's only them on stage. All the other instruments are in the form of a backing track and they play along. They take questions, and there is interaction with the crowd in the form of asking questions and they answer. And then, of course, at the very end, there's usually a bunch of prizes that they give away. So I have been to so many clinics. I've seen everybody in a clinic form. I've seen tons and tons of live shows, but I think I've been to more clinics than shows. And I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, Thomas Lang, Virgil Donati, Steve Smith, of course, Dom Familero's been to his clinic many, many, many times, and his master classes. Tommy Igoe, Tommy Aldridge, Neil Peart. I saw Neil Peart in 1992, I think it was, and he barely ever did any clinics, but I managed to go and see him in a clinic. I can't even list off all the clinics that I've been to. There's just been so many, Dennis Chambers, Dave Weckl, Vinnie Colaiuta, Manu Cachet, who doesn't really do many clinics. He's another guy that doesn't do a lot of clinics, but I managed to go to his clinic and see him. Chris Coleman, he's a heavy-duty clinician. He does a lot of clinics. Benny Greb's another guy who does a lot of clinics. And Todd Zuckerman, he's another clinician who I've also had lessons with as well. So anyways, let's get to a couple of the funny stories that at clinics. So there's this drummer that I know, and I'm not going to name his name, but those of you that know me will know who I'm talking about. He was one of my teachers years and years ago. And I've kept in touch with him over the years, not in terms of messaging or hanging out or whatever, but I see him at events. I see him at drum clinics. I see him in music stores. I see him at drum festivals, drum events, I always run into him. He's always pleasant to me, but there's an underlying headbutting that goes on between the two of us. And it's because he's jealous, plain and simple. He's always been jealous of me, and we were at this clinic, and this is actually a really funny story because I remember the clinic. It was a Chris Coleman clinic. And unbelievably, at the end, they give out prizes, like I was saying. At the end of the clinic, they start announcing the prizes. Well, I won second prize, which was a Vic Firth bag, which I still have to this day. This was quite a few years ago. And my son, who was probably about 9 or 10 at the time, he won the Chris Coleman Coleman cooler. Anyways, we go up there. Pictures with Chris. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those pictures to show you guys, but we're up there. Pictures with Chris. I'm talking to him. Liam's sort of talking to him. Anyways, we turn around, people are like, hey, turn around for a picture. As I'm turning around to get the picture, I look out into the audience and I see that drummer and he's raging. He's just like, that should be me up there. I have to admit, I basked in the glory of him being angry and jealous. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I tell that story to everyone because I just thought it was so funny in the heat of the moment. He was so angry that my son and I won the top 2 prizes, okay? Now, something very strange happened. My son went with me probably to about, 8 or 9, maybe 10 clinics. He went through a phase where he enjoyed going to the clinics. Now, why would an 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid who doesn't even play drums, he hadn't really developed much of an interest at that time in drumming, why would he want to go to the clinics? Well, it was a lot of fun. For one thing, he enjoyed being with Dad, he enjoyed meeting people, and he enjoyed watching these amazing drummers perform live, right in front of him. Anyways, he started winning all the prizes. It got to the point where the guys organizing the events, soon as they would see us show up, they'd be like, uh-oh, there's the prize winners showing up. And people were like, what do you mean there's the prize winners showing up? They thought it was rigged, that he was winning because it was rigged. I can assure you it was not rigged. Liam just won time and time again, to the point where people would see us at the clinics and go, oh no, look who's here. They're going to win all the prizes again. And strange, I cannot explain it, but Liam was on a tear. He won so many prizes in a row. Now, it wasn't always the first prize, the grand prize, like a cymbal stand, a drum pedal, a snare drum. But I will tell you, I forgot to mention, at the Chris Coleman clinic, it wasn't a cooler that Liam won. I won the cooler. I won the Vic Firth bag at a Tommy Igo clinic. Liam won the signature snare drum from Sonar, the Chris Coleman snare drum. That's what Liam won. The guy that is my nemesis, if you want to call it, he was so upset seeing us win those prizes, and he wanted that snare so bad. It was hilarious. Anyways, so Liam is constantly winning these prizes, couldn't understand what happened. And then I think around 2020, COVID hit. And of course, the clinics stopped. That was the end of them. And he has not gone to a clinic with me since. So he would have been 14, I think, in 2020, 14 or 15, I think. That's 5 years ago. So he would have been 14. He's almost 20 now. So he hasn't been to a clinic with me since. Now, I've noticed that clinics have really slowed down. Now, for me personally, I've probably done maybe 100 clinics. I've done quite a few. I enjoy doing the clinics. It's a lot of fun to get up there and engage with people, answer questions, perform. I like to play with tracks. And I have a lot of fun getting up there and just doing my thing. Especially since I don't really play a lot of gigs now. I do more clinics, trying to do studio stuff, of course, and I have like 50 students a week that I teach. Plus, I'm involved in judging, musical competitions, if you want to call it, musical events. I'm involved in a lot of that. Plus, I get asked to comment and be involved in round circles, drumming. A bunch of drummers get together and they take questions and they answer questions and whatnot. So I've evolved from gigging into doing many, many different other things. Now the clinics, it took me a while to get into the whole clinic scene because usually you got to get some kind of sponsorship and you've got to be somewhat known. I mean, I started doing the clinics on my own by contacting schools. I was influenced by a drummer friend of mine whose name is Jeff Salem, fantastic Mississauga-based drummer. And Jeff, I noticed, was doing a lot of clinics, and I thought, hey, and I would see him at schools. He'd put videos up of him doing a hand drumming clinic at a school, and I thought, I can do that. So I started contacting schools, and that's where it started, where the schools would, check me out and whatever, and I had to get a police check and all that. And then I started doing clinics, and then of course, once you get the ball rolling, people start recommending you. Then the next thing you know, I started doing a few clinics with some of my sponsors like Vic Firth and Yamaha drums and whatnot. And the ball started to roll a little bit. Now, like I said, I haven't done a ton of clinics, and I'm not off on tour like Dom Famularo. Oh my God, that guy was the top clinician in the world. So that leads me to my next thing. What was the best clinic that I ever attended? Well, it's a toss-up, but there's two. Coincidentally, they were the same clinic, but two different drummers. So the first time I ever saw Dom Famularo, and the first time I ever saw Steve Smith from Journey fame and Vital Information, they were on the bill together. Dom Famularo, Steve Smith, and Louis Belson. Louis Belson was also on that bill. So can you imagine those three drummers on the same bill, and then they did a triple solo together, trading 8 and 16 bar phrases together at the end of the clinic. It was an amazing clinic. It blew me away. That would have been mid-90s. First time I met Dom. But that when I saw that clinic, that was the one that dragged me in, not kicking and screaming, willingly dragged me in. And I was like, man, I love these drum clinics. And it was that clinic that I fell in love with drumming. And of course, I met Dom for the first time, and the rest is history. For those of you that watch my channel, you'll know that I studied with Dom for 16 years. We were very, very close. And when he would come to Canada, and specifically Ontario, or around where I lived, I would help him. I was his helper at his master classes and some of his clinics. So I would get directly involved in what Dom was doing when he would come to Ontario and Canada. So amazing, totally amazing. Dom, such an incredible influence on me. I've talked about this a lot. And his clinics really were a spectacle. If you ever get a chance to see Dom, I know he passed away, but if you ever get a chance to check out a drum clinic online, obviously on YouTube, just type in Dom Famularo Drum Clinic and just watch him. He was captivating. He was an excellent speaker. He always had a message. That's the other thing. Whenever I do a clinic, it's influenced by Dom, because Dom would inspire people, motivate people, get people excited. I can't tell you how excited, motivated, and influenced I was seeing Dom every time, not just the first time. And I saw Dom at many clinics because, like I said, I was there working with him and helping him and stuff. And he was incredible at talking to people, and he engaged everybody. I remember the longest meet and greets were Dom's meet and greets, because he would engage every single person. Everybody would want to meet him and shake his hand and talk to him, and he engaged everybody. Sometimes the meet and greets at the end of the clinics and the master classes were longer than the actual clinics and classes, and they're usually about 2 hours long. But Dom took his time to individually make sure he got to know everybody that attended. He was incredible. I've been to some clinics where, of course, it was just a quick walk up to him, say hi, he signs something, he takes a picture, next, there was that kind of a thing. It wasn't like that with Dom. It was very engaging, and he would take his time. I mean, it was kind of frustrating if you're at the back of the line and there's 100 people ahead of you, because you knew, oh boy, this is going to be a while. But at the same time, what a beautiful thing that he would take the time to engage each and every person individually. It didn't matter who you were, he would want to talk to you and engage you. So that is the thing about clinics, is it's that one-on-one sort of intimacy that you get. Not only do you get to listen to them talk, and some of them tell a story about how they became a drummer, or gigs that they've played, or, they tell funny stories. Like I remember Todd Zuckerman telling us a story about getting stuck in a snowstorm in Canada. That was one of his most memorable things, is being in this snowstorm and he thought he was going to die. And it was an incredible story. You don't get this stuff unless you attend the clinics. Now, currently, I have not been to a clinic for a little while. I actually think Todd might have been my last clinic. I can't, it's been a little while, so I can't even really remember. I went to a Dennis Chambers clinic a little while ago, a couple of years ago. But COVID killed the COVID killed the touring for artists in general. So drum clinics, artists, whatever. It started back up, but I haven't really heard of a lot of clinics, and I always get notified. If somebody comes around and I can go see them, I'm definitely going to go and see them, because I still love going to clinics. So another funny thing that happened at one of my own clinics was I unexpectedly had a drum teacher show up at my clinic. So imagine your teacher, somebody that you admire, look up to, you were inspired by, you learned from, and here I am playing a drum clinic, and in comes my drum teacher. And it was funny because I was already up there doing my thing. I just finished my opening talking and I was playing, and I can remember hearing, it was like not even hearing, but just sensing that something was different in the room. And I look, and there I see my drum teacher come walking down, and I'm like, oh geez, this changes everything. This is like, all my teachers that I had, they were all heroes to me, and I learned so much from all my different teachers. So here comes my drum teacher walking down towards the stage, and he sits down, he's got his ticket in hand. Man, I can remember just taking a breath and saying, hey, it's just another day. Just do your thing. Don't worry about who's in the crowd. But it's hard to do that. The other thing I really, really love about clinics is inspiring kids, inspiring teenagers and adults. I love to inspire people. I love giving out the prizes. Some of the prizes that I would give out would be my Tim Conley drums merch, of course, and I would also give out posters and things from my sponsors, Yamaha and Vic Firth and whoever happened to be sponsoring me, Evans Drumheads, whatever. And I would give away some posters, drum heads, drumsticks, etc., etc. And it was always a thrill to see somebody come up with a great big smile on their face, so happy, shake my hand, give me a hug, and I would give them their prize, especially if it's a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid or a 15-year-old, aspiring drummer. It was just such a thrill for me to be able to do that. And I really, really enjoy that part of the clinic, is that I get to give back, not just, they get to watch me play and whatever, but to actually give back. It's always fun to win something. So when a kid wins a prize and he comes up and he's the winner and he's got his ticket, and it's just an absolute thrill. Now, of course, I'm hoping secretly whenever I'm at a clinic and I'm in the audience, geez, I hope I win that cymbal. I hope I win those drumsticks, whatever. I mean, really, I don't care, but it's always that moment of maybe I'll win a prize. It's always fun. So anyways, guys, I encourage you, if a drum clinic comes around in your area, try, if you've never been to one, I definitely want you to go. But if you've been to lots and lots and lots, maybe not as many as me, but lots and lots, still go and support local drummers, go and support local establishments like music stores and venues that are hosting these things, and get out there and go and see live drummers. I remember seeing the drummer from Infant Annihilator. His name slips my mind right now. I'll put him right down here. That was a mind-blowing phenomenon, seeing the drummer from Infant Annihilator, because I'd never seen anyone play so machine-like in a way. Not a machine in the sense of a metronome, but a machine in terms of how fast he could move, and those double kicks that he was playing. It was absolutely insanity at that clinic. I remember he played 2 or 3 Infant Annihilator songs, but then he played a bunch of reggae and some other rock tunes and stuff, and he was a fantastic drummer. Really, really great drummer. And it was nice to see him play outside of what you only know him to play, which is the extreme metal stuff. It was nice to see him play other stuff too, and he was really, really great. So, like I said, if you can get out to support artists and go to drum clinics, I highly recommend it. I don't have any clinics booked right now, technically, but I'm working on some for probably after Christmas, early January. I think I'll be doing some clinics, and it's in the works. I haven't actually signed on the dotted line yet, but it's in the works that I will be doing some clinics. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Whoops. Hope you enjoyed this video. I haven't been putting a lot of videos out lately because I've been working on my other channel that I'm trying to get monetized, Connolly Outdoors. It's a camping channel, and obviously if I'm out camping, I'm not here playing drums, whatever. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Like and subscribe. And as always, keep drumming. See ya.